Are we ready, folks?
We're gonna rise
All
to
right.
time for real.
All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the February 9th regular meeting of the Town Board of the Town of Wappinger to order. May Town Clerk Paoloni please call the roll.
Councilman Beal?
Councilman Beal is representing the town at an emergency management conference in Syracuse.
Councilwoman Odell?
Here.
Councilman Phillips? Here. Councilman Casella?
Here.
Supervisor Cavazzini?
Here, in just a moment, we'll ask you to join us in rising for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. That'll be followed by an invocation led by Reverend Patrick from the Emmanuel Church in our Myers Corners hamlet. And now will be followed by a moment of silent meditation. That is in memory of one of our Chelsea firefighters, Matilda Brooks, who at 90 years old passed away, and we are grateful for her decades of service and dedication to this town, as well as to our veterans through her service at the VFW. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for your invitation. Have a good meeting tonight, all. Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we come before you today with grateful hearts, acknowledging that every good gift comes from your hand. Thank you for the blessing of community, for the freedom to gather, for the responsibility you've entrusted to us to care for one another. I pray for our neighbors who have had to endure these very cold temperatures. We ask that you would be our shelter and our strength, particularly the vulnerable among us, those without family, without homes, the elderly, those with special needs, and those who lack resources. Help us to love our neighbor. We also pray for our firefighters, our police, first responders, whose job is made more difficult in this cold. We pray as they serve and protect our communities that you would watch over them, help them always to do the right thing, and keep them safe from harm. As we begin this town hall, we ask that your wisdom that is from above, pursuing peace, considerate, and full of mercy, that would guide us, our conversations, and that they may be marked by respect, clarity, and a genuine desire to seek the common good. So, Lord, bless every leader here, every resident, every voice represented. Help us to listen well, speak with integrity, work toward unity of purpose. Where there is confusion, bring understanding. Where there is weariness, bring strength. Where there is uncertainty, lead us with faith. May all that is done in this place today be led by your guiding hand. I ask these things in the name of Jesus the Lord. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend. You may be seated. Thank you, folks. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'll move it.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Casella, second by Councilman Phillips. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Do I have a motion to acknowledge the minutes from January 26, 2026?
Second.
Moved by Councilman Phillips, second by Councilwoman Odell. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Folks, we have 3 public hearings before us tonight on 3 proposed local laws. The first one is a public hearing on the resolution introducing local law amending 217, expiration and final approval of subdivision plots. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
I'll move it.
I'll second.
Moved by Councilman Casella, second by Councilwoman Odell. All in favor?
Aye.
Folks, the floor is now open to speak on this local law in particular. If you'd like to do so, please state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Move. Second.
Moved by Councilman Phillips, second by Councilman Casella. All in favor?
Aye.
Moving along to our next public hearing. A public hearing on the resolution introducing a local law amending Chapter 221 of the Town Code of the Town of Wappinger entitled Taxation by adding Section 221 entitled Exemption for Permanently and Totally Disabled Military Veterans. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
I'll move it.
Moved by Councilwoman Odell, second by Councilman Phillips. All in favor? Aye. The public hearing is now open. We ask that you please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Marco Paraticos, 12 Booth Boulevard. I'm a combat veteran who served almost 10 years in the United States Army. I belong to the local VFW, and I feel I'm going to speak for all the vets here in Wappinger. Senator Rob Rollison co-sponsored this bill last year and took it to Albany. As soon as it passed, our town board and Supervisor Cavassini took action and passed this within 2 months almost. I can tell you there's not another municipality in New York that's acted so quickly on behalf of its veterans. I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank you guys for remembering us. No, nobody joins the military for the money. We do it because we love this country. It's nice to get a little thank you back. Thank you.
Thank you for your
Mr.
service.
Paraticos, and thank you for your service.
Thank you for service.
Would anyone else like to speak on the proposed local law? Seeing none, do I have a motion to close the public
I'll
hearing?
make a motion to close it.
Moved by Councilman Casella,
Second.
second by Councilman Phillips. All in favor?
Aye.
Public hearing is now closed. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing on a resolution introducing local law amending Chapter 240-90 of the Town Code of the Town of Wappinger for final approval of site plan development?
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Councilman Phillips, second by Councilwoman Odell. All in favor? Aye. The public hearing is now open to those wishing to speak. Yes, so you please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Supervisor. My name is Christian Gates. I'm an associate with Keenan Bean. Our address is 445 Hamilton Avenue, Suite 1500, White Plains, and I'm here to speak on behalf of our client, CarMax. They are the owner of real property at 1105 to 1115 on Route 9. Our client has some concerns about this local law. They have consistently and diligently worked to completion of the site plan since they received approval. They have invested approximately $7 million and counting into this project, $4 million to purchase the property, and then about $3 million in soft costs. And so when we reviewed the local law, we had some concerns because as drafted right now, it could preclude another extension. And unfortunately, our client has had to receive outside approvals from different agencies, such as the state, the county, and also come back to seek some modifications to existing approvals so that they can receive approvals from those other entities, which has unfortunately caused a lot of delay that's outside of their control. And they've been diligently pursuing approval or final closeout in construction, and every day they're not open, they're essentially losing money. And so we would hope that the town board might consider some amendments to this local law, because of course there are some problems when people receive approvals and they don't follow through. But I respectfully submit that that is not CarMax, and there are other businesses or developers or even private homeowners that might have an issue where they run afoul of this and they're not able to receive approvals or receive final closeout. One of our biggest concern is that the proposed local law, it doesn't distinguish between applicants that have essentially abandoned or stopped working on completion of the project, whereas our client has. And so when they've been in good faith moving towards completion, this law would preclude them from receiving an extension, even though they've been working towards it. And so we would suggest that there be some amendments that can encapsulate larger projects that, due to size, complexity, and especially dependence on third agency review and approvals, that the local law provide a release valve for those circumstances. Our client, CarMax, their applications was approved by the planning board in August 2023. And then they needed to receive approval from the New York State Department of Transportation, receive approval from the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, receive approval from the Dutchess County Department of Health. Dutchess County approval for the septic system required a two-step phase. This takes a lot of time. We're dependent on Dutchess County reviewing, approving, and in order to move forward. And interestingly, in that instance, we actually had to go back to the planning board to seek a modification to the approvals so that permits could be issued by the town, so then we could go back to Dutchess County and receive their approvals for their permits. And so our team is currently working with the county. Our current extension would expire in August of this year. And when I read the local law, it would likely preclude them from receiving another extension as they continue to diligently and in good faith work towards completion. Specifically, at the end of the proposed additional language, it talks about, in no case shall final site plan approval be extended beyond 3 years from the date of original approval. I read that as the original date. Our client received approval in August of 2023. 3 years from that is August of this year. And unfortunately, they would like to continue working forward and not have to have this project essentially killed. And so we would suggest that the town board respectfully reconsider whether the proposed amendment is necessary in light of the planning board's discretion. The planning board does have discretion to deny an extension when they can see that an applicant isn't working towards it. They've abandoned the project. There hasn't been any progress. We would also request maybe there's a consideration of a grandfathering provision for projects that have already secured site plan approval as of the effective date of this local law. Or we could extend the proposed overall extension period from 3 years to 5 years to better account for complex projects that require third-party agency approvals. Incorporate a discretionary relief valve, allowing the planning board to grant extensions beyond the 3 years limit where extenuating circumstances exist and the applicant can show ongoing progress. I mean, we understand, I'm a municipal and land use attorney, I see it where applicants, some of them abandon their projects or they just drag their feet. Other ones, they work very hard, they invest a lot of money, they have different teams working on it, they have to receive different approvals, they bring jobs, and so there's a lot of aspects that are outside of their control. And so we would respectfully ask this town board to consider some of the proposed changes. Our office did submit a letter earlier today. I hope that you have received it and had a chance to look at it. I do have hard copies if any of the members would like it.
Welcome to also provide one to the town clerk as well.
I will, thank you. And so especially if the intent is to have the 3-year clock start from tonight, there would need to be some revisions because as drafted, the clock would start from when they received approval. And so we would just respectfully ask for the town board to consider this and consider some changes to incorporate acknowledgement that not all projects are alike. There needs to be some release valves that can account for these complex, difficult projects where there's a lot of different agencies involved, and importantly, the applicant's working towards it. And I think that's important for there to be a showing that the applicant has in good faith moved forward, is diligently pursuing it, and they're not just dragging their feet or abandoning it. And if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. I know it's a public hearing where I speak to the town board, but I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Gates.
All right, thank you.
Hi, I'm Marcy Wagman, 50 Old Shoy Road, and I wasn't planning on speaking this evening, but I've sat through, I don't know, years of planning board meetings at this point and zoning board meetings, and we have some projects in this town that have been endlessly going on and on and on. So I thought, and I'm not a lawyer, but I thought when we were discussing this last time, that if there was active work on the project, that those projects would not have to come back for approval. So my understanding, CarMax has been doing work. They had to do some work for the Board of Health to prove some I don't know, the septic system thing, whatever.
There were
perk
permits
test.
issued, yes.
Right. So in my mind, that's showing that kind of investment and work. And so, again, I'm not a lawyer, so forgive me, but to me, that seems like Carmack's project would not be considered as part of this, but other projects where people get the permits and the permission and then sit on it, and then the laws change, the community changes, our requirements change, and we're stuck with some albatross that was approved, 5 or 10 years ago with different lighting, different traffic. We've really got to stop that and give the planning board the capability of assessing projects from new.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ms. Wagman.
Thank you.
There'll be plenty of discussion when we get to that portion of the agenda, which is just in a little bit. All right, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll move it.
Close it, and you amend it, then you have to have another public hearing. We know that.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I made the motion. Second.
Moved by Councilman Casella, second by Councilman Phillips. All in favor?
Aye.
The public hearing is now closed. Moving along to the public portion of our agenda. This is the opportunity for those who wish to speak on agenda items. You may come up to the podium and do so at this time. Do I have a motion to open the public portion?
So moved.
Second.
Second, moved by Councilman Phillips, second by Councilwoman Odell. All in favor? Aye. Anyone wishing to speak on agenda items may do so at this time. We ask that you state your name and address for the record.
Sorry, I'm a little Lynn Versace, 37 Wildwood Drive, Wappingers Falls. Today, I just want to talk about the importance of heart health. So I want to thank the town and everybody here for understanding how important heart health is. And I really appreciate the supervisor and the rest of the town board and all of you taking note on how important that is. So today, I want to talk about something that affects every single one of us, which is our heart. Our heart is one of the most important muscles in our body. It beats about 100,000 times a day and pumps blood that carries oxygen and nutrients to keep us alive. Taking care of it isn't just important, it's essential. Heart disease is one of the leading causes of death worldwide, but the good news is that many heart problems are preventable. Small daily choices can make a big difference. Now, you all know I just went through a really monstrous cardiac event and had a pretty severe open heart surgery. This pacemaker is beating my heart to keep me alive right now, and for that I'm grateful, and I'm grateful to God for that. And again, the reason I'm here speaking on this behalf is because I appreciate all of you. First, staying active is key. You don't have to run a marathon. Simple activities like walking, dancing, biking, or even taking the stairs can strengthen your heart. 30 minutes of movement every single day can greatly improve heart health. I implore all of you to do just that. Second, what we eat matters. A heart-healthy diet includes more fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins, healthy fats like nuts and fish. Reducing sugary drinks, fried foods, and too much salt helps lower risk of high blood pressure and cholesterol. Managing stress is just as important, so I'm going to implore all of you to take a second from our hurried, busy lives, practice the pause. A lot of us stay busy, we don't want to think, we're just so overactive in this kind of, we get involved in everything, and I just want everyone to know that stress plays an important role, that you have to take a step back and practice that pause to give your heart a break and your mind a break. Finally, avoid smoking, limit alcohol. These habits put serious strain on the heart and blood vessels. Heart health isn't about being perfect, it's about making better choices most of the time. There's room for fun. Move more, eat more, manage stress, take care of yourself. Don't forget to take advantage of, and I thank again the town board for this, the workout area on Spook Hill Park. It's amazing. If you guys have not been there yet, I implore you all to go. There is a nice track. There's machines. For those of you that cannot get to a gym or don't have access to the gym, it's fantastic, and I really appreciate everyone involved in that project. So do that, and the bottom line is, listen, you can learn, you can listen, you can take all of the information in, right? But words don't matter. It's action that matters. So from your friend, your neighbor, all these people could tell you everything, but words without action means nothing. So it's either going to be one day or day one. Starts now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Also like to acknowledge the fact that Ms. Versace is also a former county legislator serving the town. We appreciate you coming to this meeting. Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak on the agenda? Seeing none, do I have a motion to close the public portion?
Make the motion. Second.
Moved by Councilman Casella, second by Councilman Phillips. All in favor? Aye. Public portion is now closed. Moving along to our consent resolutions. Resolution 2026-60, resolution proclaiming February as Black History Month in the town of Wappinger. Resolution 2026-61, resolution proclaiming February as American Heart Month in the town of Wappinger. Resolution 2026-62, resolution authorizing MJM Television and Video Production to record the 31st Dutchess County St. Patrick's Parade in the town and village of Wappinger. Resolution 2026-63, resolution authorizing transfer of funds. Resolution 2026-64, resolution authorizing budget transfer for equipment purchase. Resolution 2026-67, resolution on the proposed improvements to Wildwood wastewater treatment plant to declare intent for lead agency and classify project as an unlisted action. And Resolution 2026-65, correspondence log. Do I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
Second.
Moved by Councilman Casella, second by Councilman Phillips. All in favor?
Aye.
The consent resolutions have been adopted. Moving along to our non-consent agenda. Resolution 2026-66, resolution introducing local law amending Chapter 230, Vehicles and Traffic of the Town Code of the Town of Wappinger to further regulate overnight parking of commercial vehicles on town roads. So I have a motion for discussion.
Make that motion.
I'll second it.
Moved by Councilman Phillips, second by Councilwoman Odell. On the discussion. Folks, I've laid this local law here on your desk this evening based on a number of inquiries we all have received across the town on tow truck drivers and a number of commercial vehicles that are being parked overnight on town roads. This has been a long-standing issue in the town. We do have strict laws prohibiting commercial vehicles 18,000 pounds plus on town roads, and as many people know, our smaller roads, such as our subdivisions, really are not built to withstand that type of traffic or commercial parking of those vehicles. This has also come at the request not only of our residents, but of the Code Enforcement Office. As how this local law is written, this will give the town the enforcement ability to ticket and remove these vehicles that are commercial vehicles, and obviously commercial vehicles, without having to determine if it's 18,000 pounds or not. Because we don't walk around with a scale. So it would greatly enhance the quality of life of our residents who have to deal with this, especially right now where we have, obviously in the wintertime, snowbanks that are piled up along our town roads, and these trucks are just blatantly out blocking up an entire side of a town road, and we then have to go out and plow out around that street to try to widen it a little more. It's just not what a residential area should be. And so that is why we've introduced this local law here tonight. Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, so one of the things I think we talked about today, as a matter of fact, the current law says that if you exceed 18,000 pounds and it includes tow trucks. I think we changed that so it's and/or, so that, again, if it's a tow
And we
truck.
added tow trucks. Tow trucks were not originally in the...
Right, so we just want to make sure that's included in there, because I know there's a lot of issues where, again, something could be less than 18,000 pounds, it could be a tow truck, and as an example, we have some issues on Kendall Road, as everybody's aware of. So again, we just want to make sure that we allow our enforcement code to be able to do tickets, et cetera. Again, it's a safety issue, so,
It's a safety issue.
yes, so we just want to make sure that we have that included in
Essentially,
this
for
resolution.
public disclosure, we are further defining commercial vehicles in the town of Wappinger. That is what this code does, and it allows our residents to have a better quality of life in their neighborhoods, allows code enforcement to go out and do their jobs and enforce and create that quality of life. Any further discussion? This is a resolution that will schedule a public hearing, so there's no further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Resolution 2026-68, a resolution adopting local law amending Chapter 217 of the Town Code of the Town of Wappinger relating to the expiration and final approval of subdivision plats. Do I have a motion for discussion?
I'll move it.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Casella, second by Councilman Phillips. Obviously, we had spoken about this at our last meeting. We feel very strongly that a number of these projects that have been approved by the planning board, both residential subdivision and commercial development, should not sit on the shelf and receive infinite extensions from the planning board. We have received a number of concerns from our residents, obviously across the board, when it comes to subdivisions that were approved 10-plus years ago, had a different traffic study, had a completely different board, had different MS4 regulations, different zoning in some of these areas, and then they come back in and get their building permit because of the infinite extensions. Obviously, again, this comes at the bequest of the planning board as well, to give them some additional teeth when it comes to enforcing these actions. So if there's no further discussion on the subdivision plat, local law, we have a motion and a discussion. I'd like to move forward with a vote. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor? Aye. Local law has been adopted. Thank you very much. Resolution 2026-69, resolution adopting local law amending Chapter 221 of the Town Code of the Town of Wappinger entitled Taxation by adding a section entitled Exemption for Permanently and Totally Disabled Military Veterans. Do I have a motion for discussion?
I make that motion.
I'll second it.
Moved by Councilwoman Odell, second by Councilman Phillips on the discussion. Again, we heard tonight from our planning board member, Marco Paraticos. Again, thank you for your service. But we've heard from a number of disabled veterans across the town of Wappinger. And again, this is a law that we are able to take from the state of New York. Essentially, copy and paste. The state of New York has given us the authority to do this. Not every municipality, folks, is doing this. I need to emphasize that. And tonight, if we have the votes to do it, Wappinger will once again lead the way in Dutchess County as the first municipality in Dutchess County to adopt such legislation. Now again, New York State has given us the opportunity. New York State basically has adopted this, and we copy and paste it. But again, this will exempt our 100% disabled veterans on their town portion of their bill, which we know, and I emphasize time and time again, is the smallest portion of your tax bill. But we are doing the right thing by our veterans, and we will be sending out a letter to all of the taxing authorities in the town of Wappinger to hopefully do the same thing. And again, from our first of its kind Walk of Heroes at Brexel Schlotthouse Park to the fact that we've revitalized every war memorial and completely rehabilitated them to what we have today, again shows that the town of Wappinger puts our money where our mouth is, and we honor service with action. So I hope to have my colleagues' full support on this, And if there's no further discussion, I'd like to proceed with a vote. So we had a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much, folks. Okay. Our final resolution of the evening is Resolution 2026-70, resolution adopting local law entitled A Local Law Amending Chapter 240-90 of the Town Code of the Town of Wappinger, amending final approval for site development plan. Do I have a motion for discussion?
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Councilman Phillips.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Odell. Again, folks, as we've spoken about at our last meeting, and the same with the subdivision plan. Again, we have had projects that were approved 10-plus years ago, 5-plus years ago. Different zoning, different administrations, different laws in both the town and the state level, and on the county level. And then all of a sudden just appear after a certain period of time and get their building permit. We have heard from many of our constituents, our neighbors, that they respectfully request this legislation. I firmly believe that the code is strong as is and will protect our residents moving forward, and that is our plan, is to make sure that we don't have any more surprises moving forward. And again, we are giving the planning board the power and the authority to bring these folks back to the planning board as needed and make sure that we don't have an endless shelf life of these projects. Now, I would like to acknowledge Mr. Gates' comments. Council, I'd like to ask for some clarification on that. Again, CarMax has taken out several permits from the town of Wappinger. It is my understanding that since they have taken out building permits and have acted upon those building permits, that they have essentially started the process. And they are not one of those projects that is going back for a continuous extension. To me, and I believe to my colleagues and to Ms. Wagman's point, they've already started the process and they would not be subject to this.
So I'm not familiar with but we don't sit with the planning board, right?
Yes.
So I don't have the CarMax file in front of me, so I can go on what you've told me.
Yes.
And there also is some validity to the request for extensions, even if you may have pulled permits. So just give you a scenario, okay? Most projects that involve outside agencies get a conditional site plan approval. So you have your approval from the planning board conditioned upon getting your health department approval, DEC, Army Corps, maybe it involves those outside agencies. And then when you gather all those approvals, you come back, you present it to the building inspector, make application for a building permit, and then you're off to the races. You can go, right? There are instances where you might go get a grading permit or some other permit while those outside agencies are still pending, but the municipality is confident that you'll be able to resolve those things. In those instances, and that may be the case here, is where CarMax has come back and for belts and suspenders, because they have so much money involved in this thing, may have asked for extensions. So I suppose that is the case, but I do want to confirm, if they have pulled a building permit on their site plan.
I don't know if it's a building permit. I think it was a grading permit.
Grading permit?
It's still
It's a permit.
Still a permit.
Yeah, it's still a permit.
So if they pulled a permit, then I do feel that they would, in effect, be safe. And especially if they modified if they come back in and modified their site plan approval, that modification then becomes the new date.
Exactly.
So that's also important.
Yes.
And we could have maybe post this meeting conversation with CarMax and the applicant's reps. But the other alternative is to, and I'm not sure what the fee schedule is, but if there's really any confusion, they could just ask to have the project reapproved versus an extension. And that's another way to skin the cat. If we're just looking at CarMax under the microscope, okay? But otherwise, I think we all recognize what we're doing here with this law and, and what the issue is with these approvals that have been out there for a very extended period of time that may be extended over and over and over. There's a rationale to what we're doing here. But I do think there's, based on the information that you guys are giving me about CarMax, that they're not in jeopardy of losing an approval or not being able to get, and I don't know the date of the first, extension.
And again, based on what you had just noted, that they came back for and amended their site plan, so separate from the extension, that, I believe, is a completely different date from August 2023. That's a more recent date.
Yeah,
So when I had pulled a list of some of those in jeopardy projects, CarMax was nowhere on the radar. So, and because, again, there was a permit that was pulled. So I feel comfortable with moving forward with the law based on council's recommendation here tonight.
I just, am I right that we were resetting the clock to 26 with this law? So anybody going forward had 3 years from...
So I was also looking at it that way. We could have been a little bit more specific and said, this law applies specifically to any project receiving approval after the date of adoption.
Right.
But I was looking at it as operating that way. We weren't going ex post facto. We weren't going back in time. We were going into the future with this adoption.
So I understand the intent of the law here. My thing is you got to have some exceptions to the rules. As an example, CarMax, there could be some other projects that fall into that same category here, and we have to give some kind of leniency for it. But I get it. There's a lot of projects been out there for 10, 12, 14 years that haven't done anything. I understand that's the projects that you want to really take a look at and say no more of those. But there's got to be a process, again, or clarify a little bit better here what we're going to do with, as an example, CarMax. Again, because I think they're more of an exception to the rule than the rule itself that we're looking to approve tonight.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if that has to be put in here or not, but I don't think if it's explicit in here, then it may not. Yeah, I just want to make sure that they're able to do that. I don't want to make sure that because we approve the law tonight, it is what it is and there's no exception. So we need to put something in here that says there is going to be exceptions to what we're approving.
Well, I don't want there to be exceptions, Councilman. That's my stance on this. We should not be doing any exemptions moving forward. If they need to come back, they're going to the planning board.
Not exemptions, exceptions. That's an exception.
They are separate. We just confirmed here tonight they took out a permit.
That's my point, but you're going to have others that may be like that.
Then they should go back to the planning board. That's the point. We don't want to surprise our residents with this.
So, what I'm not aware of is whether there's a final site plan application fee, okay? And the reason why I'm saying this is there could be an instance where maybe they're coming close to the 3-year mark, or they're worried about going past the 3-year mark. And so what's the process? The process is, potentially reapproval. And oftentimes, you come up against two things. Is there going to be a required public hearing? Am I going to be required to pay again? Those are the items that you're going to come up against.
And that's a valid point, Council.
Yeah.
If they would like to come forward and request to the town board to waive a fee, that can be taken on a case-by-case basis and come back. But again, with CarMax, for example, again, they've taken out the permit, we can move on. Anything else, and again, I don't know, maybe you're thinking of a particular project. I don't know if we want to give any sort of, that's the whole point.
I think the idea is we want to have the ability to do it.
But that's what you're doing.
Well, no, this is hard, fast.
And right now, the town board doesn't have the ability. Right now, it completely sits with the planning board.
Yeah, so the option is to come back and reapply. So if you have a subdivision or a site plan, your neg deck doesn't go away if this is probably your biggest issue, right, is that people have come and asked for extensions, and there may not have been a comprehensive reanalysis of the environmental impact before the extension is granted. I think that's really the heart of the issue.
Yes.
So, in effect, that's the purpose of the expiration. Otherwise, you have, just as Ms. Wagman described at the podium, you have projects that were analyzed 5 years ago, things have changed around it, and then the project, is issued a permit and has new impacts that weren't considered, 5 years ago.
And either way, it's going to trigger some sort of notification rather than, for example, the Sikh temple. That was granted approvals X amount of years ago and then just reappeared and requested a building permit. Well, tri-municipal sewer is very different. The traffic studies are very different. There were new neighbors in Rockingham there that said, what's going on here? Either way, we were not aware when they were going to start. They just requested the building permit. So either way, through this, now at least there's some sort of notification mechanism. Now at least there's some sort of pause.
Well, you have the default, by putting the hard clock, you're going to incentivize your applicants. You're really going to find out who's serious about doing a project and who isn't, because...
No, and I agree. And you've got these older projects, like you said, they've been out there 10, 12 years. I mean, they've been out there, codes have changed, everything has changed. So I understand why this would apply, but again, I'm just kind of thinking of, you get somebody who's in the process, they had to go through a number of different organizations, et cetera, committees, county, state, whatever, to get approvals, and they need an opportunity because everything takes time. Let's face it, sometimes projects take 3 to 5 years before they get approved. So you might have got a permit 5 years ago and now you're still working on it, and it's not just based on what the town is doing, but rather, so I just want to make sure that they have, people have an opportunity to bring stuff forward. We're not going to just say, sorry, it's 3 years and you're done.
So I really think if I was the applicant and I was worried about the clock, right? I've been dealing with outside agencies for 2 years and now I'm very concerned about the clock.
Right.
I might come back to the planning board and say, hey, don't give me an extension. I want a reapproval of my project and reset my clock. That would be the common way to deal with that.
Yes, and it's again giving the planning board the opportunity to revisit the site plan at that time, which is what we want.
The environment.
So, okay.
So, and look, I don't direct how you guys vote. If you want to talk about it more, maybe put that in, that's up to you guys. But that's what I think a seasoned professional would come in and ask the planning board to do. They wouldn't ask for the extension. They'd say, hey, reapprove me. That way I reset my clock and I have more time.
Yeah. Okay. It's effectively doing what we want. So I'm comfortable with the law as is. That's a mechanism that they can take. Any further questions?
Just one thing, if there really is an issue with CarMax, we'll work with CarMax to resolve the issue. I don't want, I don't think there's anyone up here saying, that we want to cause an issue for
we fully respect that they've invested $7 million in the town, but again, we understand the fact that there's a mechanism in place here. They've taken out a permit, and we'll work with them on that.
Good.
Okay, very good.
That's what I wanted to make sure.
Yes.
We're going to be able to work with them so that, again, a lot of money invested and all of a sudden to tell them you're done. That's not fair to them.
Of course. All right. Thank you, Councilman.
Sure.
I appreciate that. Any further discussion?
None for me.
Okay. Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Thank you very much. The local law has been adopted. Thank you, folks. Moving along to items for special consideration and new business. You don't need anyone on this dais to tell you it's cold outside. So we're not going to do that. What we are going to do is recommend that there are avenues for folks in need in this town as Code Blue is in effect. So if you know anyone, a senior, anyone that meets a certain qualification, can reach out to DCFS. If obviously you don't have heat, we will make sure that we will put you in contact with Dutchess County DCFS to make sure that you receive the resources that you need. So we are encouraging you to check in on your neighbors and, of course, know the resources that are available to you during this time. I'm proud to say that if you look at these screens here, the Highway Wash Bay project is well underway. I sent a video over to the town board and the highway superintendent when it started coming down. Folks, you might remember that last year this town board took action to complete the highway department facility rehabilitation project. Something that we're very proud of, from the auto center there to the sign shop to redoing the office. I mean, it's just amazing how that place looks. And that building coming down and now being the wash bay for our fleet, for our entire town. We can open it up to our fire districts, to the village, whoever needs to use it. It is going to be great, and it is going to ensure that our vehicles have the longevity that they need. And it's something that Councilman Phillips and I have been talking about for quite some time, and our mechanics in the auto center have been desperately asking for, so we are very, very excited with that. I would also like to give a quick sneak peek. If you can tell what that is our senior center here on the Town Hall campus. I'm going to go back. Franca, don't get too excited now. But this is something that we're very excited about. We received that grant from the county. The appliances are in for our brand new kitchen. Councilman Casella, we made sure that the color scheme remained the same from Drexel Schlotthouse Park at our brand new community center that we opened this year. We have a lot of really exciting things, so I figured that the back row might be a little excited to get that little sneak peek there. Tonight we adopted a resolution on Wildwood Sewer. This is something that affects the 3rd and 4th wards in the Wildwood 1 and 2 neighborhoods. Again, as many of you know, we've been reevaluating our sewer plants, the 3 that we own as a town, and going away from the old way of doing things to thinking outside the box. So I really have to give a special shout out to our town engineer, Lawrence Paggi, the LaBerge Group, and Mike Tremper for all of their work working collaboratively. I think, as Mike Tremper said, this is the first time he's ever had permission to work collaboratively with anyone else, and this has been a really, really good thing that we have going. So Wildwood, again, going to save taxpayers literally tens of millions of dollars from what was originally proposed to this new alternate plan as discussed here in this agenda tonight. So just had to give a special shout out there. Moving into our events, we're back in the event season here in Wappinger. We have a lot coming up. This Friday, we have our vow renewal, our 2nd annual one at the chapel at Carnwath Farms Historic Site and Park. We have over a dozen couples from our town that are going to restate their vows, and I'll be presiding over that ceremony, so that will be very nice. We're looking forward to it. We still have space available, and we are encouraging anyone to come. That will be this Friday at 10 o'clock. S'morefest was postponed, so that will be February 21st, also at Carnwath Farms Historic Site and Park. Our recreation department was able to get me out on an inflatable tube and try out the snow hill at Carnwath, so we encourage everyone else to do the same. Go out there, enjoy some s'mores. I believe Outback is going to be providing some food, which will be nice, and we're going to have live music, and the chapel will also be open, so hopefully it's a little warmer, but people will be able to go inside and out for S'morefest. We're excited for that 2nd annual event as well. On the common theme of veterans tonight, something that is very close to everyone's heart here on this dais and in this building, we are launching again our season of Valentines for Vets. We are encouraging everyone in the community to either drop off their homemade Valentines here at Town Hall or the community center at Drexel Schlotthouse Park. I believe that our Parks and Recreation Department is going to be leading a craft night at the park this week, and also leading a senior craft at the senior center. So very excited to get those put together, and they will be delivered to our veterans at Castle Point, VA. This time of year also means it's the start of the fish fry at the new Hackensack Fire Company. The Board of Fire Commissioners reached out to make sure that we are pushing this out to everyone, and so February 20th, that Friday, will be the first fish fry. It's hard to believe that it's already Lent, but definitely stop by there. The following day, the Emerald Ball. Obviously, again, we approved a resolution to record the filming of the Dutchess County St. Patrick's Parade in our community. The Emerald Ball is the kickoff to that. The Grand Marshal this year will be Dr. Dennis Murray, the former president at Marist College, Alani's alma mater. Very proud to see him being recognized, and that will be a very, very nice event up at the Poughkeepsie Elks Lodge on February 21st. Same day, right before the Emerald Ball, is our VFW Pasta Dinner, and it is their kickoff to their 80th anniversary. So the VFW was founded 80 years ago this year, and they are kicking it off with a pasta dinner on February 21st. We're encouraging everyone to go up to the VFW on School Street in the Village, and the following day is a very special event. I've been asked to join the VFW to lead a history talk and presentation of the VFW's building, which is the old Drake School, one of the original schools in our town. So we're going to be giving the history as well as a tour of the VFW building, which was the Drake School. We're bringing back some of the original desks that were used by students when that was a school, and again, celebrating our amazing veterans and the VFW and all that they do. And just as a report to the community, next week we will be joining the 932 other towns in the state of New York at the Association of Towns Conference in New York City. For me, it's funny, I say this is my Disney World. My girlfriend loves Disney World. She goes on her trips there. This is my version of Disney World, where we get to collaborate with other elected leaders from across the state. I've already reached out to a number of supervisors and elected officials from across the state where we're getting a lot of ideas, and we like their zoning, we like their recreation, we like their structure, and I've done this every year. And I'm looking forward to going down and joining my colleagues down there as we go to classes and network. So that is what your town board is going to be doing next week, folks, is going to a very exciting conference, which I'm looking forward to. So that, I'll turn it over to the second ward.
Great.
Councilwoman Odell, you go first this time.
Thank you. Very short. But I want to say Wappingers is strongest when we look out for one another by fostering a sense of community, ensuring our veterans are supported, respected, and never forgotten. We honor both our neighbors and their sacrifices that help build the town that we serve and that we call home. So thank you. I was really moved by that we passed that local law today about the veterans, so thank you for that.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Phillips.
I just want to remind residents with the temperatures going up during the day and then freezing at night, there's going to be a lot of ice buildup. If you get it on your roadway, just call the town garage. Mike Sheen will have a guy out there really quick, and they'll salt. I know my road gets it many times during the winter, so just be careful. It can be very dangerous, so just let them know and they'll take care of it.
Councilman, we also had a good meeting with Verizon.
Oh, yes. For the people, especially my ward, Spook Hill section, and my neighborhood, Kent Road, Verizon promised to have both of them up by April.
Yes.
So our cell service is spotty at best around town. So if you do have any concerns, let your councilman know. And we're working, Verizon is taking our suggestions to heart. And you know, as bad as the service is on Myers Corners, if you drive Myers Corners, there's 3 cell services on there, and that's how bad it is. So the more the merrier. I know people don't like them, and we express that concern. Yes. We don't want 200-foot towers, no. But they do have options, so they're willing to work with us. So yes, that was a very good meeting. So.
Yes, and thank you, Councilman, for that. We had a really good meeting, and just to give some more clarity on this, folks, what the councilman and I made very clear to Verizon was that we are not interested in 100-foot tall plus monopoles. We have no interest in that. Especially after the one in Didell, where it's lit up like a candy cane prior to this administration. We have no interest in those types of cell towers. But what we're working on are the small-scale cellular. This is something that is taken off, as we talked about, on Long Island and a number of those towns out there, where they don't want the massive eyesores of those cell towers, but they're promoting the small-scale cellular. So as the councilman noted, this town board took action to finalize the proposals on Spook Hill Road and Kent Road for small-scale cellular, which is basically a little cylinder that you would not even know is there, mounted atop of a telephone pole. That's it. That's as high as it is. There's no impact. And that services the greatest number of individuals on the ground level. What we've seen is these massive poles offer an umbrella effect and don't necessarily benefit the people that have it in their backyard. And I think everyone here in the town knows, and everyone on this dais feels that we are all about enhancing your quality of life. So we do not want to add something that is going to be a detriment to your property and to your quality of life. You can actually see two of them that are already in operation of the small-scale cellular on Old Hopewell Road. I don't drop a call now on Old Hopewell, whereas I used to through the dip there. So they seem to be working, and Councilman, again, I thank you for leading the charge on that.
The other thing that was, you don't know till you know, is you think we okayed it 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Both these sites, it takes, you think town government works slow? Verizon's slower than government. There's so many different options. So you have to, it's like herding cats, try to get all this going. And I was really shocked that it took them, because they have so many different contractors to do this, and it's unbelievable. It's government for you.
Yeah.
So.
Councilman Casella.
So first, I want to thank Councilman Phillips and Supervisor Cavazzini for getting cell service out on Spook Hill Road, because my daughter lives out there and we have zero service there. It's terrible. So thank you very much. Just a couple of quick things here. So again, we had the Super Bowl party on Friday, so the supervisor and I were both there. Great job by Hughesonville Fire Company making the beef barley soup, so we appreciate that. We want to thank the recreation team of Jessica, Kellyanne, Ariel, George, and Lisa, so they did an outstanding job, so it was really nice. Hard to believe Little League registration actually was this past Saturday with all the snow on the ground today, but they actually had it. Now, what people don't understand is that you get very few people that actually show up in attendance. Everything is pretty much done online. The numbers are looking very, very good. We expect it to be a very, very good season. So again, if you have not signed up, it's at towl.org. You can go through there and sign up. And the other thing we're going to be doing is we're also going to be honoring the New York State Girls Championship on opening day, which is April 11th.
The sign is here.
The sign is here. It's been corrected. We were missing one name, so now we have the sign there. As the supervisor talked about, the senior center, I did a walkthrough on Saturday. I was here Saturday when they had Little League sign-ups, and everything is pretty much in place. We did a rearrangement on some of the appliances. Some of the cabinets, things like that were kind of tight, so they were rearranged, and I think you're working on that today, so it works out very, very well. People need to be aware of with the freezing out there. We're getting a lot of people calling chemo pollution, and they think it's a chemo problem. It turns out there's frozen pipes, so if you can, insulate those pipes the best that you can so that the pipes don't freeze. Chemo will go out and try to help you, though. I know they've helped a number of residents for me to help residents that have frozen pipes. The only other thing is really looking at Schmor's event, so we decided, which I think was a great move on the part of the board here, to move that from the 7th to the 21st, because I think the 7th was probably the coldest day we've had in the last, 3 or 4 months. So again, a good move. We got some snow and everything else. So, and last thing is, I do want to thank the board for approving the veterans exemption for disabled. I think that was an outstanding thing that we approved today. I like to take the lead on that as far as the board goes, and hopefully other towns do follow us as well. But it is a great thing, and I do thank Marco again for your service, for the community and everything else that you do here, but again, service to help us out. But anyway, thank you. That's all I have for today.
Thank you. Seeing no further business to come before the town board, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Phillips, second by Councilwoman Odell. All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you very much, folks.
Thank you.
I'll ask you to join us in rising. I'd like to call the February